If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? And welcome to another edition of the Ron and Don Show. And we are back in the Ron and Don Real Estate Studios.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, coming up on the Ron and Don Show, we got to talk about the Sonics because it looks like they might be coming back. And also, it looks like Facebook might be in some trouble. We're talking millions and billions of dollars. New court case. That was just settled moments ago. Before we get to that, though, let's get to the top five.
Ron and Don's top five at 5.
5, 3, 2.
All right, Ron, you travel a lot. I travel some. I was getting ready to go on spring break with my son, and I have to say, after looking at all the airport lines, and even if you have Clear and you have those other things that I know a lot of us have, a lot of those lines in airports are just being shut down. So what say you about people that are traveling right now? And, of course, we just saw this horrendous plane crash because it seems like in one of the world's busiest airports at night, there were only two. I guess there were only two guys that were up in the tower. So it seems like the airport right now is a pretty fun place to go.
Yeah, I think the Democrats have lost the thread here. Like, this was supposed to be a ploy. If we zoom back out, why is this happening? It's supposed to be a ploy. Democrats were saying, hey, there's this budget coming up. We need to pass the budget that we see all the time, these budget cliffs that come up. And so the Democrats got together and said, hey, our constituents, the blue states and the blue cities, are really unhappy with the way that ICE is operating around America. And, you know, all the stuff we talked about before, Minnesota, where people got killed, and you got a 5-year-old that's being lured to lure parents, and folks being marched off in shorts and a T-shirt into negative 20 degrees. All of that stuff was very unpopular with the blue state people. So they said, all right, what we're going to do is we're not going to pass. We have the juice now to block this budget being passed. And so what we're going to do is demand changes. If we give you this money, all the stuff that you've talked about, we're actually going to train agents. We're going to not, rush them through in 3 weeks, give them a gun and a mask and send them out into the streets.
You're not being fair. It's actually 6 weeks.
And so the Democrats were using this, saying this will work in our favor as we approach the midterms, and we're going to stall and not approve this budget until we get our demands. Meanwhile, in a twisted sense, I give this to Donald Trump. He is the biggest chaos agent in the history of American politics. And so that was getting good press coverage, and that was trending well with voters of like, yeah, we want reforms in ICE, and we want you to dial that back. And then whether it was a combination of the Epstein files and that story, or ego trips, or whatever the combination of reasoning was, boom, with no permission from Congress, no pleading with the UN, no taking to the American people, no authorization whatsoever. We go to bed on a Friday, we wake up on the weekend, and boom, we're at war with Iran. And so that has sort of overtaken this narrative. And now people are just pissed. And so they go to the airport and they're just mad at everybody because the Democrats have done a horrible job of keeping the thread alive of people going, okay, I know why this is happening. I'm standing in line for 6 hours so that my neighbor doesn't get arrested down at the restaurant.
I haven't heard anyone say that. I haven't heard one politician, one talking head say that or write that or connect that. I guess they're leaving that up to the American voter,
which they shouldn't. I mean, I don't know if there's a way around this. The lines that you see are just horrific. And I think about if you ever a mandatory work person. So let's say a different field. Let's say that you and I worked for the sanitation department, and we had Ron and Don, we were driving a garbage truck, and then they go, oh, you have to come into work today and we're not paying you for the foreseeable future. I think both of us would go, take a hike. Like, I'm not going to work 8 hours a day slinging garbage if I'm not going to get paid. And that's what we're asking these workers to do with TSA and with air traffic control. They are basically the arrangement, the way I understand it, is you work your full shift, you don't get paid, don't take any sick days or vacation days because this is a crisis. And then down the road, once they pass this budget, you'll get back pay. And it's like, well, what if you have a family? What if you have to buy food? What if your kid's playing football and needs cleats?
Yeah, and
what do you do at that point?
You know what's incredible about this, and I don't think people understand the funding on this, even though that DHS and ICE and TSA, everything that we see happening now falls under the same budget, ICE agents are still getting paid. So the ICE agents have now been sent to airports. I saw some ICE agents detaining some people the other day in airports. They say that this is a kind of rollout to maybe see how this could work in polling places coming up in the midterms, right? So there's a signal for sure being sent here. And the head of the TSA union basically said, hey, these ICE agents can't help us. There's nothing they can do for us other than go buy us lunch, go buy us a coffee. We're hungry. We have families to feed. Buy us some food to take home to our families. And it's this is the problem.
Well, even like the radar that comes through, they're not trained for that.
This is the problem when you have millionaires and billionaires that have never been hungry. Donald Trump, and just look at him. He's never
missed a Happy Meal.
Hungry, right? He's never been hungry. And when you don't know what that's like, or when you're sitting there pondering and wondering, when I get home tonight, how am I going to feed my kids? Or in Los Angeles today, $8.71 for a gallon of gas. How am I going to get my kids in the car, and how am I going to drive them to
How am I going to go to work?
Or how am I going to get on an airplane because I can no longer afford the airfare, as airlines now are canceling flights, not just all over America, but really all over the world. So as you see this, how do you think this ends? And do you think the Democrats could get back on message here? Because I agree with you, Ron. It's a great point. That connection, I think sometimes Democrats think is already being made, but I haven't heard anyone say it, write it, post it.
As long as we're making up negotiations with Iran out of thin air, and as long as like the thing that I want people to realize is the thing that Donald Trump responds to is his millionaire and billionaire friends. When the market goes bad, he responds to that pressure. So when you look at last weekend, S&P 500, the stock market, was not in a free fall, but lost significant amount of money trading last week. I look at the markets every single day. There was a day that was down 141 points, the S&P, which is big. The Dow was down hundreds of points. And so we get to the Friday, and Donald goes to Mar-a-Lago to have a party down there and play some golf. His rich buddies down there are going, dude, you got to turn this market around. Like, I'm losing millions of dollars a day here. And then, bam, he invents this story that we've had substantive talks. And if you've seen the interview on the tarmac, I believe is it Caitlin Collins? Is that her name from CNN?
Correct.
I believe it's her interviewing him. She goes, okay, so you say that you talked to Iran. Yes, we're working out this 15-point plan. Who did you talk to? A very important guy. And Jon Stewart had a great bit on this. He's like, a guy or the guy? Like, who's the guy? Well, I can't tell you who the guy is. Well, Iran is, so we're in this thing as Americans, which Stewart pointed out, which is hilarious. Do we believe the most lyingest president in U.S. history, or the new supreme leader, the Ayatollah of the biggest terrorist country on earth? Who do we believe? Did these talks happen or they didn't happen? I got to tell you, I kind of believed Iran.
Ron and Don's Top 5 Bet 5.
Number 2.
All right, 10,000 lawsuits right now against companies like Meta. Yesterday in New Mexico, there's a jury that awarded $375 million. And then today with Meta, Google, some others, a jury, I believe, is coming back right now in a different case and saying, yeah, it seems like these platforms have engineered these platforms in such a way that it's bad for our kids and it's bad for their mental health. 10,000 more lawsuits behind them. Ron, is this going to be big tobacco, do you think, all over again?
Not with this Supreme Court, I don't think. Like, this Supreme Court, I think, is, I don't want to say in the pocket of the billionaire elite class, but pretty close to it. So I think that Meta and their army of attorneys will figure out a way to appeal this all the way to the Supreme Court and get it overturned. But the underlying case, I think, is really interesting because it gets to the point that you and I have talked about a lot, which is these social media platforms have optimized their algorithm. And sometimes I still don't really understand how a complex algorithm like that works. But I've tried to do some research on it. It seems pretty complicated.
And because it's always changing as well. Yeah.
They have optimized their algorithm for profitability. How do you generate profits? With attention. You sell, you cater ads to the attention of people. So the longer you have someone on the platform, the more ads you can serve to that person, the more money that goes into the company. That's the only thing they care about. And so it doesn't matter what the content is, whether it's true or not, whether it's factual or not, whether it damages someone's mental health, whether it's exploitative, doesn't matter to them as long as it's engaging and profitable to and the advertisers don't pull out. And so what we need to realize, and I think a lawsuit like this brings it up, is you don't have to optimize that way. So they bring up the children issue where it's like the stuff that you publish about the safety around children is not true. And we proved it in court. And therefore, it leads to mental health issues that you know about. It leads to exploitation that you've known about. And you have internal reports on all this. And so you should be liable. Like when Don and I do a real estate deal, if we put false information in our marketing, if I said, hey, we're selling this house and it's got a brand new pool. And the people get out there and it's like, this house doesn't have a pool. And you're like, oh, well, there's it's a plastic wading pool in the backyard. It's like, that's not what you publish. That's wrong. We could get sued for that.
Yeah.
You can't just make stuff up or knowingly not disclose something. And that's what this case is. So I'm hoping, and this is hope upon hope, that there's a cultural groundswell that says, you guys are insanely profitable. You're going to still be able to serve me up an ad for a hoodie or a watch. So can't you optimize for something else? Like, do you have to optimize for every friggin' nickel to get sucked up off the table? Like, can you not optimize every once in a while for like, hey, teenagers, go outside?
Yeah. I have to be honest. What bothers me a little bit, though, is when I see parents just blaming these platforms and blaming these tools. And yet when you walk through the airport or you go into, and I don't care if it's fine dining, if it's Denny's, which can be fine dining, right?
Depends.
Yeah, IHOP, Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity, whatever that is. There are so many parents that are so effing lazy that allow the phone and Meta and Google and YouTube and everyone else to parent their kid. And there's no restriction around it. There's no tools on how to use the tool. Like my son has a pressure washing business. So he's pressure washing a lot better this year than he did last year. Last year, I had to do all the pressure washing with him during the business. This year, he can kind of do the pressure washing on his own because he's a little bit older. But it's in order for him, really what it is it's Dad's and Gunner's pressure washing business. At least that's what's been for the last 2 years. And then this year, it's going to be more of his business. It takes me more time. Like he was pressure washing a property the other day. It takes me more time to do that pressure washing with him than it does if I just went out and pressure washed it myself. But as a parent, I want to make sure that I'm giving him tools, and part of that is showing him how to use tools. I see Tom Brady the other day, and he's doing, that guy will take money for anything, right? And I don't know if you saw him playing flag football. He's still very competitive. All the guys in the NFL got killed.
I saw that
All
story.
the guys.
I haven't seen the highlights.
Gronk was playing with Brady. Gronk got hurt. All the guys, and some of the guys are currently playing. Joe Burrow's out there sliding around on his ACL and his Achilles and all that. And I bet the Cincinnati really love that. But I'm telling you, sidebar, all the NFL guys that you thought were going to the Olympics, none of them are going to the Olympics. And when you look at Team USA play flag football, all those guys are under 6 foot. You've never heard of one, and they were killed. I think they killed Tom Brady's team like 61-3 or 61-7 or something. It was crazy. But anyway, if you're going to give a child a pressure washer, or you're going to give them a phone, right, or you're going to give them a hacksaw, or you're going to spend some time showing them how to cook in the kitchen, it takes time in order to parent them. And there's just a lot of parents out there, and you see it with really young kids too, when they hand them the phone so that they can play video games instead of coloring or arguing or fighting with their brother in the back seat. Like it's become really the world's pacifier for children. And then as kids get older, they never take it away. I was talking to a coach the other day at Blanchette. I was over there this past weekend for kind of a coaching forum. And he just got named the new head coach. He's been over there for 15 years. He has 120 kids in that program. And I said, what is the hardest thing for you in coaching kids today? And he reached into his pocket and he pulled it out and he pointed to it and he said, this thing right here.
Ron and Don's Top 5 at 5.
Number 3.
All right, do you have a little Kevin Calabro? Do you have a little bit the Supersonics? Oh, yeah? Let's see if we can find this. In fact, this will take you all the way back to our KJR days. How about that?
So welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen, shout the name. Seattle Supersonics are basketball bionic, and Gary Payton was on. Bounce pass up court to Sean, and the crowd sang along. Supersonics, oh yeah.
Here comes Calabro.
Supersonics.
Not just the regular team. Take the color with it. Deep 3 over to Shrimp. In the corner, Gary wide open. He's a little. Yes! Gary Payton hits the 3. Ay, caramba!
Do you think they bring Kevin back, or is Kevin too old? Because it looks like the Sonics are coming back, and it looks like we might see some NBA basketball here, maybe in the next 2 years. They're out right now in Las Vegas. It was announced today, and here in Seattle, formally looking for people that would like to buy the Sonics. Look for the Kraken and Todd Lewicki, and not only their owner there, but also the Lewicki brothers, who've been very involved in bringing the Sonics here, creating the 12th man. He used to work for Paul. He did everything that you see with raising the 12th man flag. Then he went on, Todd did, he worked in the front office of the NFL. He's owned part of the, I think 3 different hockey franchises. And now they head up the Kraken. And he and his brother really, really, really want to be part of an ownership team, and they want to bring the Sonics back. And that's why when you look at the sight lines, when you go to a Kraken game, that arena is also a place for basketball. So I think the WNBA actually plays there right now. So 2 years from now, do we bring Kevin back? What are your thoughts?
I don't want to spike the basketball just yet, and here's why. What this vote does technically is allows the NBA to start exploring cities. And these guys are all billionaire mercenaries. So don't be shocked if they come to Seattle and they get a dollar amount. Oh, that's a franchise fee. We got $7 billion for a franchise fee. And then a guy in Buffalo, which used to have an NBA team, or a guy in Kansas City, which used to have an NBA team, says, I'll give you 8. And there's some very wealthy people that live in Buffalo, New York that own the Bills. They could say, well, we'll give you 8 because we want to recapture. We used to have a team here in the NBA.
Buffalo's not market 12. Go ahead.
I understand, but it's about the money. So then they come back to the Seattle guy and go, hey, Buffalo's in for 8. What about you? Okay, we'll go in for 9. So don't be surprised if they don't use Seattle in the same way that Oklahoma used Seattle to generate more money. I hope that it happens, but it's not as simple as the owner saying, yeah, it is Las Vegas in Seattle. They are saying, hey, Adam Silver, go out and explore. see how much money you can find for the franchise fee, because those two franchise fees, they get split among the other owners. So when they bring in $20 billion for these two new teams, each owner gets his share of that franchise
plus $77 billion a year in TV TV fees,
and so
and that
it's
won't,
not a slam dunk.
That won't
yet.
initially get shared with Las Vegas or Seattle, whoever else is.
So I don't think it's a slam dunk just yet, but I would love to see Calabro.
Ron
come
and I
back.
started our radio careers with the Sonics, working weekends, and then covering games, going in the locker room, seeing Charles Barkley naked, which is shocking. Do you remember when he did that? Because he was upset that they were allowing female reporters into the locker room. So he'd go in there in his shower shoes, completely naked, like a jackwagon, and do interviews. I don't think he'd do that today. He seems a little more refined. But anyway, I think about all the people that went to those games, or I think about everyone that used to go to the Kingdom, and you go to a baseball game or you go to a Seahawk game. What kind of bums me out is even when you go like the whole 12th man thing is a bunch of shiznit. And you know why? When you and I worked for the Raiders, no matter what, the year that the Raiders were 4-12, were the fans still there?
The black hole people were.
The black hole fans were still there, standing in the end zone, and Al Davis made sure that their tickets were always between $8 and $25 because that's what these guys originally paid. When you go to a Seahawk game, it's just up for grabs. It's what anyone can pay. And so you'll see a lot of people that have just moved here, and then they'll run into the store, and then they'll throw on, I'm a JSN guy now. And they'll be, I was asking people that were sitting around me at the last game that had all paid online for these tickets. Some of them had paid $4,000 to sit in these seats and watch the Seattle Seahawks play a playoff game, right? And so I think the same thing is going to happen with the Sonics. If they have a great team, I don't think Joe the garbage guy is going to get to go see them. It's just going to be a tech thing again. And if they have a horrific team, then I don't think people are going to show up. So what could be really cool, though, is I've heard people say that might be the end of it. Will they bring Calabro back? And then also, will they bring some of the original Sonics back to be kind of part of the franchise? Why wouldn't you bring Sean back? He owns the pot shop right across the street.
Ron and Don's Top 5 at 5.
Number 4.
All right, more of the Top 5 at 5 now. And don't forget when you need us, Ron and Don. SitDown.com. And very important question, Ron. I don't know if you read this or not. Do you sleep in your underwear?
I do.
Yeah. Should you sleep in your underwear? Did you read this new study?
I did read the new study, and it was confusing because it was all about women's health.
Yeah. What did
And
you
so
think?
I was like, why am I reading this story? Because I don't...
I just like the headline of it.
It is a good headline.
It's a good headline. Yeah, I find as you get older, you kind of... Things start, as your skin gets loose, it starts sticking to itself. Do you know what I mean? So like when you were younger, you could just roll around in bed and you could be naked and stuff and it'd be fine. I used to like to open up the windows, even in the wintertime, and you open up the windows and you just sleep around in your nudity. I do that now, and I was even thinking about this story because I was wondering, I wonder if I should sleep in my underwear tonight or not, because this might make the Top 5 at 5 a little more interesting. And I have to say, I tried doing it just commando style with the windows open, and I just woke up in the middle of the night and my stuff is sticking. It's all sticky. And then I went in, I got some underarm spray deodorant. I was spraying my body down, and then I'm
in the middle of the night?
Yeah, and I didn't have my contacts in, so my son had been in my bedroom, so I was actually spraying myself down with some Old Spice Swagger.
Wait, you're naked in front of your son who's a teenager?
No. He came in, he has a back issue. So he came in and he used my jetted tub, and while I was in there, he's doing lots of grooming now. I mean, he takes after me. Like there's some fun, and he's also now touching his fake beard a lot, which
interesting.
He has like
he's got a whisker.
He asked me for razors and all this, and I don't know what he's doing because there's only like 3 little.
You got to get that going.
He's in there. So anyway, I cannot see anything when I don't have my contacts in. So I went in there and I'm like, This is sticky. I'll spray it down. You've done that before, right? You get up in the middle of the night.
No.
You spray it down with some Secret.
No,
I wear women's.
I don't have Secret.
You
and
know
I don't have Swagger.
You know I wear Secret.
Yes, it's no secret.
Yeah, and the reason I wear Secret is because when I was young, my mom came to visit.
It's pH balanced.
And it's pH balanced. And it works great. It's strong enough for a man, but made for a woman, but it works great for me. Anytime I wear Secret, I never stink. If I wear anything else, all the man stuff and all that, I stink. So I wear Secret. You have to explain that if you start dating a girl long term and she comes over the house, she sees the Secret. She's like, oh,
I think
you got a secret, don't you?
I think there's a certain age category that doesn't even know that commercial.
That's probably true. So anyway, I was looking for the Secret last night. I came up with the Swagger. I sprayed it down, and my God, I couldn't go to sleep the rest of the night. I smell like Swagger from Old Spice.
Ron and Don's Top 5 Back 5.
Number 5.
All right, you got a podcast? You got a book? Anything that you're watching right now? Oh, no. I tried to watch The Marshals. Have you tried to watch the new Marshals, which is the new Yellowstone?
No.
It's the first Taylor Sheridan show that is branded as a Taylor Sheridan show, but it's not written by him. And you can tell it's not written by him. It looks like a Yellowstone set. And in fact, it has some of the actors from Yellowstone. In fact, one of the sons who lives in Montana now. He moved to Montana, the guy that's the head of and he said people there hate him because he's from Los Angeles. And he said, we were filming, he was one of the sons on the Dutton Ranch. And he said, we were filming so much there that my wife and I decided to move there. And he said, it's one of the worst mistakes that we ever made because everybody in Montana hates you. He said, anytime we go anywhere, we'll come back to the car and someone will write in dust, go back to California.
Wow.
How about that? I think people in Montana can probably be that way.
People can probably be that way.
Yeah. So anyway, I cannot recommend The Marshals. I was pretty excited to watch The Marshals. And now the girl that played Beth, she now has, there's another Yellowstone show that's supposed to be written by Taylor Sheridan she's starring in.
She's great. Is she not British?
And I think she is, yeah. And it's supposed to be out this weekend. So that one I'm going to have to check out. And I just wish that Kevin Costner wouldn't have been such a jerk and would have stayed on the franchise. Because the thing that bothers me is, you know that he's gone now. You know that he got shot. You know the Dutton Ranch got sold off. And by the way, I was reading today that you and I could go to the Dutton Ranch and we could stay there in Montana. Do you know how much it cost?
At the Dutton Ranch, I would say
we could stay in an Airbnb.
$1,500 a night.
You almost hit it. Did you read that?
No.
It's $1,400 a night.
Okay.
And then they'll give you a tour of the main house. The only way you get a tour,
but you're in the lodge.
The only way you get a tour of the ranch, is you have to stay there. $1,400 a night, which and it's a 3-night minimum, I think. So that'd probably be worth it. And you could take up to 8 people.
Are you into Idris Elba at all?
Into what?
Idris Elba.
I don't know what that
the
is.
actor.
Oh yeah, of course.
So he has an Apple vehicle called Hijack. Have you watched Hijack? So if you like Idris Elba, he was Stringer Bell on The Wire. He played Luther, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. If you've never seen Luther,
he was great.
Absolutely brilliant. And he's done a bunch of movies. Some people said he was going to be the new James Bond and be the first black man to be a James Bond. He'd make a fantastic James Bond, but they're not going to do it. So he has this show called Hijack. Season 2 dropped. It's just finished because Apple doesn't put them all out at the same time. They go week by week. Hijack. And so season 1, I don't want to give too much away. Idris Elba, the first season is really, really good. Second season's still good, but it's a little bit of a drop off. But I think if you watch it, you're going to probably go straight through because I think you'll really like Idris.
Well, you got to give me something. Like, what's it about?
So, the first season, he gets on a plane. He's a professional negotiator, kind of like yourself.
Yeah.
He's sitting in first class, kind of like yourself.
Of course.
And next thing you know, the plane is getting hijacked, and he needs to
that's great.
thwart the plane. The first series is in real time. It's an 8-hour flight that he's on, and each episode is 1 hour of the flight.
Okay.
And so it's really good. Right. And the second season I'm not going to give away, but if you haven't seen Hijack, it's a good
that would be hard to be on a plane for 8 hours and make that interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be very hard.
It's well written. It's well acted. He's a really, you know what? Like he's an action star in air quotes, but he doesn't go over the top.
Yeah.
Like he's still like, you feel like he's danger. There's danger. He gets afraid. Like he's nervous about stuff. He's not like, rah! But when the moment comes, he steps up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I won't go into it right now, but we'll do it next week. I did send you a very Brady update. Did you get it?
I've read the whole thing.
Did you?
I did.
What'd you think?
It was. I wish I wouldn't have read it.
It's an update on what everyone's doing.
I can never get that 10 minutes.
I always wish Ann B. Davis was still around, but she's dead.
How old do you think she was when she was in the show?
Great question.
Because as a kid,
yeah,
she might as well have been 100.
Right.
So when you're watching the show, how old do you think she was? As the maid.
She reminded me of my crazy Aunt Mary. And my crazy Aunt Mary used to like to eat salad with gravy on it for some reason, which is a little crazy.
Take a guess. How old was she when she was in the show?
She also had epilepsy, and she always wore a helmet. And we could never figure out why she always had a helmet on and why she fell down a lot and why she wasn't allowed to drive.
Was Alice?
Ann B. Davis and my crazy Aunt Mary looked a lot like each other. And a lot of times I'd tune in, I wonder, when I was younger, I wonder if Ann B. Davis has a helmet somewhere and if she likes to have gravy on her salad like
how
my
old
crazy
was she in the show?
60.
35 years old.
No, she started when she was 43.
No, that can't be true because she died at 88.
I have the internet right here in my pocket.
Okay, so it's way better.
I can answer any question
if it's 35. Matt, off the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Are we now promoting things that aren't true there?
Hey, that's my truth. My truth is that she's 35.
Fake news.
Yeah. RonandDonSitDown.com if you need us to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. We will see you on the other side of this.
If you find yourself dreaming about a new home, go from just a dream to the dream team. Schedule your time at RonandDonSitDown.com.
This segment of the Ron and Don Show brought to you by Gunner Pressure Washing.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show, and thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, coming up the show after this, we'll be talking real estate. What is coming up in the real estate
There
show?
was a big Zillow report. They have economists that look at the top 400 markets in America, and we got some the latest info. Seattle's not trending in the right direction, but we'll give you I'll put it into some context for you.
Yeah, sounds good. Depends on the neighborhood you're in, man, because in a lot of Seattle neighborhoods, there's 14, 15 offers. Just depends. It just depends. It's a same way we have micro weather around here. We have micro niche markets when it comes to real estate, for sure. Hey, this weekend, I don't know what you're doing. I remember I was out. We were working out on the Olympic Peninsula, selling Kim's house out there. And I remember there was a No Kings protest. And the way that I remembered is I'd slept out there in my Eurovan camper because the ferry line on Friday was too busy. So I woke up on a Saturday. I went and got some breakfast. And then I said, you know what? Instead of getting on the ferry, I'm just going to drive through the whole Olympic Peninsula because it's really a beautiful drive on a Saturday. And it's a beautiful day like it is today here, Ron. So I went for a drive, and then I went all the way from Port Orchard and all the way up to, and I jumped on the Clinton ferry, came over on the Clinton ferry, and then came back down to Queen Anne where I live. And I was really moved by the fact that as I was going through these little towns, anything with a port over there is over there, right? Whether it's Port Orchard or Port Townsend.
Port Gamble.
Rolling through Port Gamble.
Port Ludlow.
Yeah, Port Ludlow. And you'd see like 6, 7, 8 people out there. Sometimes they were kids, lots of older people, mostly women, and they were standing around with their No King sign. And I went, oh, it's the No Kings March. And I was blown. I had never seen that before when you kind of go from little town to little town, and every single little town, people were lined up with their signs. And then I came across on the ferry, I was going through Edmonds up there, a bigger march there, and then, of course, coming down through Seattle, a huge march here. So fast forward to this weekend, and they say in those marches, most of those marches were women. 70 to 75% of those marches, the No Kings marches, were women. And we know the focus is, hey, Donald Trump is a king, and we shouldn't have any kings. I've talked before that I think our presidents have all been treated like kings. Obama was treated like a king. You don't think the Clintons were treated like kings. You don't think the Bushes were treated like kings. Look at the way they travel, the places they go, the people that they meet, the connections that they have, the power, the privilege. There's not just one Air Force One. Right now there's 3, right? There's 3 Air Force Ones. And just anywhere you go, you travel like a king and a queen. You do. And that goes all the way back to the Kennedys. Really, when you look at Lincoln sleeping in the White House, the White House was just basically a piece of junk back then. The thing had been burned, maimed, not taken care of. He had one bodyguard, and people just used to sleep on the lawn, and sometimes they'd sleep on the decks of the White House when you go back to the late 1800s and the early 1900s. So then we fast forward to today, and especially after what happened with JFK, our presidents are kings. So Donald Trump hasn't been the only king. We got lots of kings out there. So this is what's interesting to me, though. These initial No Kings marches, not only were women, but they were women that were on the left. Men did not join. It goes all the way back to 2017. We saw women take to the streets wearing pink hats. Where did that movement go? Well, movements move, and it moved into the No Kings march, right? So then the focus is No Kings, and they say this weekend, all around America, we will see the largest protest march in the history of America. And you think about some of the marches, Ron, during Vietnam. You think about some of the marches that happened in Washington, D.C. when it comes to civil rights. You think about some of the marches that happened in the South. They went over that Selma Bridge not once, not twice, not 3 times. They went over that bridge 100 times. You think about Rosa Parks sitting on that bus, screwing around with that bus driver. She didn't do that one time. She'd been screwing with that bus driver for 17 years. And then all of a sudden she met Martin Luther King, and he said, oh, we're going to do something with Rosa Parks and with this story. And so they illuminated that story, and here we go. You think about the marches in this country. This weekend, not only is it a No Kings march, but they say they expect a lot more men to be in this march, maybe up to 45, 46% are going to be men. And instead of women that are just on the left, they expect women and men that are on the left and women and men that are probably right of center to show up in this No Kings march. It'll be interesting, though. Why do you think people will be marching, and why do you think this will be the biggest protest march ever?
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. To me, the biggest thing is your wallet. Like I think people are finally waking up to the fact of maybe I voted for this president with the promise. The 2 biggest promises on the campaign trail was I'm not going to start any wars, and I'm going to get affordability prices down on day one. Those were the 2 pillars of that campaign that really outperformed Kamala Harris.
And I'm going to stop wars in one day. It takes one phone call.
I'm going to stop one war. I'm going to stop the Ukraine war. So like the 2 biggest promises, it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to go, oh, that's not really happening. And maybe there's still a contingent that's like, well, I'll give it time and it needs time to develop. But I think for most Americans, life is right here. Like if you are working 40, 50 hours a week, you got kids, you're dealing with marriage problems. If you're
sidebar, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're listening, like let's say through your radio or your headphones, when Ron says right here, was your hand 3 inches?
I was doing a John Cena.
Yeah,
like you can't see me. I'm
so
right here,
3 inches from his face. I thought explain if people aren't watching on YouTube or Spotify.
Basically, trying to move through the world with stuff right in front of you. Most people do not open up the Wall Street Journal and read cover to cover or New York Times or whatever. They catch fragments of stories here and there. What they do pay attention to is, I get my paycheck on Friday. It's going to be this amount. I've got to pay all my bills, and do I have enough money to buy food, pay my electricity? My kid needs a new pair of cleats for football season, and away we go. And when that starts to shrink and they no longer can afford that, and it's like, are we going to a food bank this week? Are we going to just stop driving? Am I going to have to take the bus to work every day? When that starts to happen, I think you lift your head up out of the sand for a minute and go, okay, what do I protest here? And so I think the phrase "No Kings" has come to encompass more than just the kings. To me, it always meant this is the first president in our lifetimes and probably longer that has even insinuated, you know what, maybe I'll just change the Constitution or ignore the Constitution and go for a third term. There's never been another president since, was it FDR that went 3 terms? Once they changed that and made an amendment to that's no longer allowed, nobody has ever said that. Even if you were super popular or you were trying to hang on to power as much as you could. So I think that's what people mean by no kings. Not that the president or the vice president doesn't get treated differently with security apparatus than they're living and whatnot. I think it's that sentiment of like, wait a minute, like we don't do 3 terms over here. That's the beauty of the American system, is that it churns over on purpose.
Who on
the push and pull?
Who on the left jumps in front of this movement? If you go back and you go back into the 30s and you look at Hitler and what was created. That movement had really been created, and then he knew how to jump in front of it. You go back, and he was going to make Germany great again. And for everything that happened in World War I and the way that Germany felt about himself, he saw that, and he jumped in front of that movement, right? And he owned it. You look at Reagan and what Reagan did. He said the same thing. Donald Trump didn't make America great again. I can show you speech after speech after speech after speech of Ronald Reagan talking about making America great again. So, and Reagan, being an actor from California, knew how to jump in front of that movement. Same with the MAGA movement. Trump is now saying the MAGA movement is my movement. You can go back and look at other movements, especially with the Tea Party. The Tea Party is really where the MAGA movement started, and Trump wasn't around for that. In fact, Trump during that time used to be a Democrat, right? But he saw this movement, and he saw the angst, and he saw an opportunity being a Hollywood guy. He knew how to jump in front of it. And who on the left is going to jump in front of this movement and let this tidal wave take them to the executive office? Or is it too early to do that?
This is the Achilles heel that I just see right now. Chuck Schumer is not the guy.
Oh, my God.
And Mondani is not the guy.
No.
And so I liked Beto from Texas.
Yeah, but he has never won an election.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy.
And so, you
can't even pronounce his name. And then you're wondering if he's from Texas. So you know he's not the guy.
What's or Cortez or OA? What's her the 3-letter gal from the East Coast? She's too divisive. So like they don't have a person positioned to jump
left
out
out Gavin Newsom.
I think Gavin's too slick for the East Coast and the Midwest.
I think that's going to be an issue. In order to win an election, you still have to win the Midwest. You still have to win Ohio. You have to talk to my cousin Jimmy in Illinois, right? You still have to reach Wisconsin. You have to reach Pennsylvania. You have to reach Virginia. And I don't know that Gavin Newsom has the ability to do that. And I don't know if that person exists, because what could happen here and what J.D. Vance is counting on, and you see him right now going, hey, this war in Iran is not my idea. And he's letting people know in the back channel, it's out in the media now, that he didn't want it, he's against it, and now he's going to go over and try to negotiate some type of peace.
Well, we got Jared Kushner on the case.
Yeah. So when I look at this, though, when I look at this, the Democrats have to be very careful, because this wave of the No Kings movement, this might give you the House, and we talked about this earlier. It might give you the House coming up here in the fall in November, but does it give you the presidency 2.5 years from now? Not if your message the whole time is No Kings, and in the meantime, J.D. Vance is going, hey, you know what? I am going to take an opportunity here because he's a pretty smart politician. He's 41 years old. He has a military background. He's pretty funny when he stands up and he talks to people. Publications on the left really like to go at him, but if you really listen to him speak and talk, and you see what they did with Hillbilly Elegy, that movie, that's kind of the bright shining star that I see right now. I don't see anyone on the left, and I certainly am not a huge J.D. Vance person. But my concern is everybody looks at Hillary Clinton and she got in too early, and they're like, that's why she didn't win. She got in too early. You can't get in too early. You have to get in after the midterms. I think somebody has to get in now and ride this No Kings momentum And I don't know if there's anyone out there that has the ability to do that. Trump could do that, right? Reagan could do that. Even going back to Hitler, the skill level that he had of being able to command an audience, he did that. I don't see that on the left. More in a minute.
Ron and Don, from radio to real estate. When you're ready to grab a cup of coffee and sit down with the guys, go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, coming up right after this, we do a show every week where this show, it's kind of like what you used to hear in Cairo, our KJR days. The next show is our real estate only show. If you think about buying, selling, investing, make sure that you listen to the real estate only show coming up here in just a moment. And Ron's going to talk about a Zillow report about 400 different markets around America.
We're going to go over each market.
Yeah, we're going to go over each and every market.
It's going to be a 400-minute podcast.
Yeah, we're spending 30 minutes on each market.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we're going straight.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
We're going live. You see, Bill O'Reilly he couldn't get anyone to listen to his podcast, so now his new podcast is called We're Going Live.
Nice.
Isn't that great? I think
Good
that's
for him.
I think that's pretty smart. Looks like we're going to the moon. China's going to beat us. And I guess there's some parts of the moon that China wants to get to before we get there, because I don't think there's life up there. But there may be water, and there may be
minerals.
There may be minerals. Yeah, mineral rights. So China's may get there a year or two before we do. NASA's trying to get there, and they say we are going to spend $20 billion when we get up to the moon. And I'm just like, $20 billion doesn't seem like a lot of money.
I'd have the exact same reaction.
To get to the moon and create a village up on the moon. It seems like $20 billion would maybe that would be the technology of the rocket. And by the way, if you need a rocket to get to the moon, talk to Iran, because they are building rockets right now that probably can hit New York City in the next couple of years, right? So your thoughts on $20 billion going to the moon? And a lot of people say Elon Musk and everyone else is trying to kind of skip over the moon and let's go to Mars. They say Mars in the self-driving car is a bunch of bullshiznit, and that a lot of people now are going to, and maybe we'll have self-driving cars up on the moon. So self-driving moon rovers. I don't know.
Waymo up there.
But the focus now, let's get to the moon and trash that place before we head over to Mars and trash that place. So what say you about going to the moon? Do you think it's important?
I had the same reaction to you. I was like, $20 billion. So it was like 2 Seahawks franchises get you to the moon. So I went back to I did a little research. Do you know what, adjusted for inflation, like the first moon landing, what we spent on that?
No, I remember.
It's $280 billion adjusted for inflation. So we're going to do this now for 20, and they're trying to do this public-private partnership thing. Where again, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are 2 of the front runners to try to supply rockets. Bezos is behind SpaceX in this endeavor. But I guess I'm going to do the thing that I always don't like when other people do. The upside of the village on the moon is that really the best use of our resources at this specific time in human history, where it's like we have, and I was thinking about your son the other day, because, I'm probably going to be dead and gone before that really happens, but the environmental crisis that continues to evolve.
Are you going to leave him your car, by the way?
It's probably by the time I'm dead, like he'll have his own car.
I don't know.
But sure, I can leave him my car.
I might still be around. Leave us your car.
So this environmental thing that's happening, all the social media stuff, the political unrest, it's like, it just seems like such a sidebar to go, let's go build something on the moon.
Yeah.
Like it seems so out of context and like not reading the room. Like if I'm the head of NASA, I'm like, maybe we table this announcement for a little while. Like we're in the middle of a war. To your point, there are rockets flying around all over the place, blowing up buildings in schools where children are getting killed. Maybe we table this for a better time for our announcement.
Well, this is what I want. We've trashed the oceans, right? You go out in the Pacific now, and they just, what do they call that thing that floats around?
The blob.
The blob is just floating around. I guess the Atlantic has one now, too. I was reading the other day, just in the Great Lakes, there's over 10,000 wrecks in the Great Lakes. And one of the reasons why the Great Lakes are so cold, those wrecks stay intact, and you don't have to worry about, because all these wrecks are full of fuel and coal and everything else. These wrecks that you may have heard of the Edmunds Fitzgerald. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. And they say one of the issues that we have, though, with a lot of the World War II wrecks, and you think about, because China used to, or I'm sorry, not China, Germany in their heyday used to just send over our U-boats, and when we were trying to do what we're going to try to do in the Straits of Hormuz, when we were doing that off the East Coast, their U-boats would just sit there when we convoy over, and they would just pick off merchant ship after merchant ship after merchant ship. And a lot of those merchant ships have fuel on them. Those wrecks are decaying now, and now we're going to see all that fuel enter, specifically in that case, the Atlantic Ocean, right? And so there's a real concern about what's going to happen here, not only with that, but then we're in complete denial of climate change. And yet, when you look at all the research that is coming out of places like Antarctica or go over Greenland, or I was just in Iceland last year, and they said, hey, enjoy the ice caves, because in 120 years, there'll be no ice. There'll be absolutely no ice in Iceland. And you know it's amazing when you fly over to Europe and you come back and you're flying over Greenland and all those islands, you see all that ice. All that's going to be gone. And so you look at the way we are not great stewards of this place called Earth right now, and then we're going to go take a shit on the moon. That's what we're going to do.
Well, we'll get minerals so you can have a new iPhone.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Ron and Don Show. We really do appreciate it. And if you need us, just reach out. We do something called a Ron and Don Sit Down. We sit down just like we're doing right now. But we talk real estate. We talk about you. We talk about your journey. We talk about the fact that sometimes you enter a real estate journey because you've gone through a divorce, or sometimes you enter a real estate journey because you've been renting your whole life and then you just had a baby and it's time to buy, or maybe you just moved here, or maybe you're moving somewhere else, or maybe mom and dad have passed away and now brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, you have this house. Mom and dad's stuff is still inside there because they hung on to everything. And now what do we do with this stuff? What do we do with this house? What do we do? How do we bring this to market? We specialize in all that stuff. But the important thing about a Ron and Don sit down is everybody's different where they're at on their real estate journey. And what we want to find out is, where are you so that we can meet you on that journey and find out if we're going to be a good team, right?
Yes, you can reach out to us directly. I'm Ron at ronanddon.com, and he's Don at ronanddon.com. We got a website, ronanddonsitdown.com. There's some free resources out there, like a buyer's playbook, a seller's playbook. And then the Zoom call that we do is absolutely free of charge.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Yes.
We should start charging for that.
We should.
We can make a shizzle load of money.
And you get a mug.
Yeah.
$1 million.
And then if we move to the moon and we start selling the moon,
yes.
I wonder how much those Zoom calls are going to call when we chat from the moon.
I don't know if I want to be an agent on the moon.
Huh?
It's a long commute. We already drive a lot.
Think about that, though. If people are going to Mars, you got to be crazy to go to Mars because you know you're going to die. Like, it's a one-way trip, right?
It's a one-way ticket to paradise.
Think about the people who are going to volunteer to go to Mars. That's a long trip, too. All right, ronanddonsitdown.com. If you need us, social media, I'm Don O'Neill. He's Ron Upshaw. Hit us up on Facebook. You can DM us. And then we have something called Buyers Playbooks and Sellers Playbooks. Go to ronanddonsitdown.com. You can sign up for your sit-down, and then you can download one of the Buyers Playbooks or Sellers Playbooks, and then you can read that thing before we actually sit down and we have a chit and a chat about what's happening.
Did you say chit?
A chit and a chat.
Okay. Just checking.
And you get a free mug.
Yeah, and a free mug. Matt's kind of becoming the...
He's always wanted to be an announcer.
Is that
he's living out his childhood dreams.
Okay. Any more announcements, Matt?
I have no more announcements at this time. Thank you, Don. Back to you.
Okay. I like that. All right. RonAndDonSitDown.com again if you need us. All right. He's Ron. I'm Don. Our thanks to Matt. Thanks to my station voice, Gunnar O'Neill, the 7-year version of him, and Charlie the dog, our station mascot, is around here somewhere. All right. Coming up, another Ron and Don show, real estate only. And if you're concerned about the Zillow reports, where do the Zillow reports come from? What is my home worth? Are these things really accurate? They're really not. Sometimes they are, but most of the time they're not. I got a Zillow report today, and I have one property that lost $2 million in value. Thanks to Zillow.
Is it on the moon?
Yeah. I'm like, huh? Are they looking at the right house? All right, you guys. Till next time, head up, shoulders back. You've been listening to the Ron and Don Show online on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Well, that's it. Show's over. We'll see you next time on the Ron and Don Radio Network.